Live. All right. Good morning, guys. Hey, Bob, K6UDA from the K6UDA radio show. Welcome to the 2 Alpha Ham Radio podcast. My name is Bob Radowski. I am a retired law enforcement officer out of the formerly great state of California, now known as the People's Republic of California with a K. Lifetime Second Amendment advocate. I am a USCCA firearms instructor, ham radio operator, all that good stuff, general all-around good guy. And I want to welcome you to the 2 Alpha Ham Radio podcast. Let's see. I just completely lost it. Man, got a huge agenda today because the Second Amendment space is huge. There is so much going on. It is so exciting to be alive and aware at this time in history because, man, it is crazy. It is crazy. Stuart Clark, brother, what is happening? Stuart Clark from the old country there. I believe Stu may be still trapped behind enemy lines there in the People's Republic. Let me know in the chat window there, my friend. Let's see. What do we have today? We have, and I need to get my screen up here. And let's see. The first thing that we're going to talk about, man, it is crazy out there. There's good and bad happening. This is becoming a big week in Idaho Second Amendment culture because the Senate Bill 1004, it is growing. There is much more support for State Senator Scott Henderson, who has made a bill in the Senate, in the Idaho Senate here, to strengthen stand your ground laws. Really, here's kind of the long and short of it. SB 1004 is the last piece of Idaho's stand your ground law that will prevent bad prosecutors from trying to make innocent Idahoans to jail when they have acted lawfully in self-defense. Yes, George Soros is funding prosecutors even here in the great state of Idaho. Let's see. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be the next Kyle Rittenhouse. He never should have been prosecuted, but nothing is going to stop a George Soros-backed prosecutor from making an example out of an Idaho gun owner if SB 1004 doesn't get passed. Not only does SB 1004 ensure you have the ability to invoke stand your ground within 2 weeks of being jailed, it also puts more of a burden on the government to prove that they have sufficient evidence to keep you in jail. One of the big things that this bill does is if you do go to trial and the judge and the jury in a case tells the judge that you were innocent by reason of self-defense, then the judge has the ability to award your attorney's fees be returned to you, which is huge because, you know, even if you have USCCA insurance, and I highly, highly recommend this to everybody who carries, everybody who even just loves the Second Amendment. I highly, highly recommend you join the USCCA, because they'll find you an attorney. They'll provide you an attorney up to a certain point, but you will probably drain your savings account. You'll probably mortgage your house, all kinds of bad things. And here in Idaho, with the passage of this SB 1004, that would enable you to recover your attorney's fees, I presume, from the state or the municipality that charged you with the use of your firearm. That would be a lifesaver. I know Kyle Rittenhouse spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on his defense, and he is now looking at more from these civil lawsuits coming out from, literal oxygen thieves, pieces of complete crap. These guys are convicted felons, and their families are saying they were church boys, and they're suing. Anyway, you would have to expect that from these guys. Let's see. Let's get a few. Let's move over here. Look at a few comments here in the gallery. Stuart Clark is in the house. Chuck Perry says hola. Let's see. Still here. Stuart is still there, and hating it. More and more daily. Okay. Jorge says, come to Texas. Yep. I'd like to visit Texas. I love visiting Texas. But I'll tell you what, I love it here in Idaho. Let's see. DJT does not approve of this message. Who is MI7 DJT? Does not approve of this message. You got a nice picture. Should have went for the double tap. Says FJ Hoosier. Very, very cool. Let's see. What else have we in the news here? Oh my God. California. This is the difference between living in Idaho and living in California. In California, from Northern Ireland. Very cool. Thank you from Northern Ireland. Guys, for living the difference between California and Idaho, we just talked about a new bill that is really gaining steam here in the state of Idaho. If you are an Idahoan, if you're an Idaho resident, please contact your elected representatives in the state house and tell them to back SB 1004, because that helps Idahoans retain their rights and not be frivolously charged or tried to make an example out of. As opposed to that. California. Let's see. Yeah, California has a new bill that it'll probably pass. This one, that's why I talk about it. That's why I talk about it now. Because this one is likely to pass, even though it is so draconian. It is so unconstitutional. And here is something that is absolutely hilarious about this, and I shit you not. SB 2 starts out, and I got to go to page 11. I read most of this, and this just blew my mind. So you've heard of the new CCW bill in California that Gruesome Newsom is wholeheartedly backing. Well, you know, they are so convoluted, so stupid that they are saying here, line 29, you gotta read this. This is comedy. The carrying of firearms impedes the exercise of other rights of the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, including the right to protest and vote. In a nationally representative survey, 60% responded that they would be very unlikely to attend a protest. I'm kind of guessing more like a riot if guns were present, whereas only 7% said they would be very likely to attend such a protest. Alexandra Philandra, Americans do not want guns at protests. This research shows, well, who cares what the research shows? I'm sorry, Gavin, the people have the right to protect themselves and carry a firearm. And because California is so against people exercising their Second Amendment rights, we'll start here at page 51, where it lists all the new places. I shit you not. You've probably heard this, especially if you live in California. So California knows that it is a shall issue state like every other state in the union. But California does not like the Second Amendment. They don't want you armed. And so they came up with this list of places that you cannot carry a concealed weapon or any weapon. The Department of Justice may exempt. Okay, so a prohibited place, starting at line 27. A building, real property, or parking area under the control of a preschool or child care facility, including a room, portion, building, control. This is the first part here. So if you've got a child care facility at, say, a grocery store, that would mean that the entire parking lot for that grocery store is a prohibited place. Can't carry in the grocery store. If it's a school, if there's a school, you can't carry within 1,000 feet of the school, which means the roadway in front of the school. You can't walk on the sidewalk, even if they pass an exemption for the roadway as you're driving by at 25 miles an hour. Let's see. A building, parking area, or portion of a building under the control of an officer of the executive or legislative branch of the state government, except as allowed pursuant to paragraph 2, section 171C. And I didn't look that up. A building designated for any court proceedings, matters of a superior court. So that would mean a a lawyer's office for your depositions. Guys, remember, if you're a cop in California, you're not exempt from this stuff. It doesn't say you're exempt. Some of them exempt you only while on duty. But if you're not on duty, you're sticking your neck out there too. If you choose to be armed. I mean, when I was in California, I didn't leave my house without a gun on. It just is. Let's see, building real property parking area. That means of a public or private hospital. That includes, guys, chiropractors' offices, an urgent care facility. You can't even be in the parking lot. If there was a gun store in the same strip mall as a chiropractor, guess what? You can't go to the gun store. You can't carry into the gun store. It's prohibited. This bill is so full of radical inconsistencies, and just the fact that they think that exercising your Second Amendment right violates another person's First Amendment right is so beyond comprehension. It is freaking insane. Let's see. Let's go back to the comments here. Greetings from behind the curtain. Yeah. Let's go look at the curtain here, and we'll go back over here. Thinking about moving from Polk County, Oregon, to Idaho, connected to Idaho or to Oregon County, should all that pass. Yeah, you guys in Oregon with that Prop 119, holy shit, you guys freaking voted for it. How do you let those idiots up north make that kind of decision? Because the whole South end, with the exemption of like Ashland and maybe one other county, they want out. They completely want out of Oregon. That's why the the Greater Idaho movement is actually gaining steam. Let's see. Greetings from Riverside, California. California does not want you armed, yet California DOJ publicized a full list of who has a CCW and which one of those CCWs are law enforcement. Yeah, isn't that so nice? Here's the thing. A lot of you guys, a lot of you cops in California, you don't realize that this stuff is going to affect you off duty. It also affects you after you retire. If you don't get the hell out of California, like I did, after you retire, all of the exemptions, all of the special privileges that you have as a cop in California come to an end. You're just like the rest of us. Now, I did get the last week's show. I got a few, don't you feel bad for being one of the shitheads who took advantage of the system and you were part of the problem. Well, let me just set this record straight. I would say probably 95% of the street cops, street level police officers, deputy sheriffs, highway patrol, well, it was 90 to 95%. Let's just say 85% now, are total Second Amendment lovers. We love the Second Amendment. We stand up for the Second Amendment. That I vote, and I always have. I have voted strictly along Second Amendment lines. Didn't matter. There was some politicians in California who got an A+ across all the other boards. They'd get a C on Second Amendment stuff. I wouldn't vote for them. It's the unions, it's the leadership, it's PORAC, who they are the big organization that California lawmakers at least did listen to. Let's see. It's KG2MM. It's as bad as Commie York. Yeah, it is. New York, same way, man. I just don't get it. When New York City comes out and says, we hope that all you conservatives, all you Republicans just die. I mean, they're not even trying to say that they stick up for everybody. No, they just would like to lock you guys up. It is bad. Just because they say, let's see, Callie Singh, just because they say a vote passed doesn't mean it did. It's part of the born guilty manipulation system. Absolutely. A new California CCW costs $700. Yeah, isn't that incredible? That's nothing that California or that an individual sheriff's office or police department is really going to be able to do anything about, because California is trying to make it. They're trying to make it cost prohibitive. So really, I almost see that as an in for a lawsuit. If you could get FPC or CalGun, CalGOA to file a lawsuit on behalf of low-income Second Amendment advocates who want a CCW but can't afford all this other crap. A big part of that is going to be the extra 8 hours of required training. Now, if I ran a CCW business, I would be, I'd be kind of happy to get the extra business, but I know trainers in California. My best friend is a trainer in California. I worked for him in his organization when I was there, and he doesn't want to see that. Even though he's going to make money off of it, it's wrong. You could teach CCW in 8 hours very easily. If it's more along the lines of physical skills and gun handling, and I think that's really what it's going to end up being, is you're going to get more advanced handgun training. You're going to get more advanced tactical training, is from what I can see, because the curriculum is the same. And you get through that in about 5-6 hours. Let's see. KM6LYW, we still miss you here in California. Hey, Craig, I miss the people. I don't miss the place. And I definitely don't miss the politics there. Let's see. Let's get in here. Well, let's go back. Let me run back here to. Hang on here. Crap. I'm trying to. Okay, I think I could do it from here. Yep, there we go. Okay, so back to where you can't play in California. Let's see. Oh, parks. No, you know what? You can't be on any park property except expressly designated places for hunting. Wonderful. So if you go camping or hiking in the Sierras, and we know that there has never been a case where a bear or a cougar or a mountain lion has stalked or attacked somebody who's hiking. But you can't carry anymore there. And I guess if you defend your life, if you do carry and you're not actively hunting, you're going to jail, baby. You're going to jail. You're going to wish that mountain lion had eaten you. It is unbelievable. Oh, yes. Any property that would be used for gambling or gaming, including but not limited to casinos, gambling establishments, gaming clubs, bingo operations. Remember, they have bingo at a lot of strip malls. So you can't even go into the parking lot with your gun, with your CCW. Guys, this is literally outlawing CCW in the state of California. Now, the Supreme Court under Bruin, they've already said, and follow-ups in New York that have tried this after Bruin passed, that you can't make everywhere a sensitive place. And yet this is kind of what California is doing, is making everywhere a sensitive place. Kind of unbelievable. Probably couldn't even go to a gun range with a gun because, police, sheriff, or highway patrol station or parking area under the control. So let's just take me, for example. I got to go to California to renew or to qualify for my HR 218, which is federal carry law for retired law enforcement. As a private citizen now, not affiliated with law enforcement, I can't even have my gun in the parking lot. So what am I going to do? How do I bring my gun to the sheriff's office so I could qualify to keep my credentials for HR 218? Because you got to qualify every year for that. It's just crazy. Let's see. All the other places, every other place, it's prohibited by federal law. Wow. Unfreaking believable. Go back over to the let's go back over to the comments here and see, what do you guys think? I mean, tell me if you're a cop in California or a retired cop in California and you're still in California, do you support any of this bullshit? It's crazy. The reason I bring it up is because, to me personally here, everything that happens in California now is just a headline on the news. What scares me about being here now is a lot of people from California and other places choose Idaho for freedom. They choose Idaho because of a perceived lesser cost of living, the lesser cost of housing. You know, you come out of California, out of some places in California down south, you sell your $1 million home and you could buy the equivalent home here for $600,000-$700,000 and you pocket $300,000. And I get it. That can be an incentive. For me, I moved here for the freedom. I didn't care if it cost more. And it does. It does cost more to live here. Groceries cost more than they do in California. A lot of things cost more than they do in places in California. Let's see. Minnesota. Holy crap. Minnesota has been completely taken over and is heading the way of New York and California. Well, Thomas, man, you guys need to stand up and do something about it. You need to do it early. You need to file the lawsuits if things have already passed. You need to make an example out of some of your elected officials. You start locally and you start booting some of them assholes out. That's all I got to say. Hold their feet to the fire. Show up with 50 or 100 people to their board of supervisor or their city council meeting and tell them you won't tolerate this crap. And you'll have a recall election and you'll replace them with you or your people. Roy says, look at what they're doing in Washington State. Ban on all semi-automatic rifles and make the people get a permit and take training courses to own firearms. That's going to be another one that's going to get challenged. All these laws are going to get challenged. And it's much, much easier as these states, as these lefty states enact a new law. It's much easier to get an injunction against those new laws going into effect, especially if it looks like it's going to be kind of a Bruin thing. It falls inside of that Bruin decision, and people need to judges, even these leftist judges now. It's a beautiful thing. They're being forced to apply text and history. They're being forced to do it. They have no choice. I just saw a video this morning. 4 Boxes Diner. I guess this new Kanji Supreme Court justice, new lefty Supreme Court justice. She made a decision, or was the decision maker, I guess, on an FDA case. Didn't have anything to do with guns or a hot social topic, but you know how she decided it? The text and history of the Constitution and the way that bill was written, or the way that the FDA, their regulations interpreted it. So even the Supreme Court, the lefties on the Supreme Court know how to apply the law correctly. And she did, I guess. And I really don't know what it's all about, but the 4 Boxes Diner guy, he's a lawyer, and I'm not. I'm just a dumb cop, or I was a dumb cop. Let's see. Yeah, the USA is the last stand. The entire world needs to get Trump back into office. Best president of all time, of any other country. Find a photo of another world leader embracing the flag. Yeah, I agree. I sincerely hope that that Trump comes back, that he's reelected, and we get 4 years of that. And then I'm hoping 4 years of DeSantis after that, or 8 years of DeSantis after that. I think that would hold the liberals at bay. I honestly, though, I don't have faith. I don't have faith that anything is going to happen, that it's going to change the rhinos in Congress here in the U.S. It's all bad. All bad, 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 bad. Okay. Let's see. Oh, who's the wife is home. Mrs. K6UDA at home. Added some extras about getting CCW'd. It will cost almost $1,000. Oh yeah, I heard that. Almost $1,000 to get your original CCW in California if this passes. The entire thing was talked about on Washington gun law. Yeah, there's another one that I watch. Guys, I watch a lot of 2A news. Try to keep up on it. As a matter of fact, here, let's go back over here, and here's a guy that I follow, Rob Romano. If I know a lot of people don't follow Twitter anymore, but this guy here, Rob Romano, on Twitter. Let me pull this off. This is Boland v. Bonta. This is the challenge to the handgun roster. The president of PORAC, the largest law enforcement organization in California, he filed a declaration opposing the state's handgun roster. Now, we went over this last week. I totally disagree that PORAC sat on their hands for 24 years about the handgun roster, and that was because law enforcement had a carve out. And if I had bought, well, here's a brand new one that I just bought. This is the Springfield Prodigy. I was going to buy a Staccato, and I decided, you know what? I'm buying a Prodigy because I'm a 1911 guy. I carried a 1911 on duty for 20 of my 28 years. But I wanted something that had more capacity. And here's the beautiful thing. The Prodigy comes with a 17-round magazine and a 20-round magazine, all in 9mm. And the 9mm rounds of today are a lot better than they were years ago. But anyway, I digress. The PORAC sat on their hands and allowed the handgun roster to remain in effect for 24, 25 years now, and never said a word because California cops were able to buy the firearms that they wanted. That was the exemption. And if you're in California and you visit any gun store, they got a little case somewhere in the gun store that says LE only. They're off-roster handguns. Now, the only way that someone like retired me could buy an off-roster handgun in California is if you bought it private party from somebody who had the off-roster handgun legally in California. Those were cops. So I know there was a lot of guys who, wow, I remember 3 years ago, Glock shut down their factory to retool for some new stuff, Gen 5 stuff, updating their equipment. Glock 19s became the hottest commodity in the state of California, and literally, I know a gun store owner who was begging cops to sell their Glock 19s for, in some cases, upwards of $2,000, because a Gen 4 or Gen 5 Glock 19 you can't buy it in California. It's on the handgun roster. Anyway, I want to show you a couple of excerpts. This is the declaration from the president of PORAC, and the declaration kind of goes like this. He's submitting declaration because, and we're starting at line 21 here, because California's Unsafe Handgun Act is out of step with PORAC's values. PORAC believes that the relationship between law enforcement and society is critical, and laws that unjustifiably privilege law enforcement over the average citizen are bad for the relationship between law enforcement and the communities they police. Well, I would say that he should have done this. Brian should have submitted this. Well, he's been the president since 2018. I would have submitted something like this in 2018. This lawsuit has been going on since before 2018, I believe. It is now just kind of getting there. So, man, it's a CYA thing now. Cops are pissed because they're losing their exemption. That's the only reason. Let's see, microstamping. Even if it worked, microstamping would not assist in the apprehension of a criminal who used stolen firearms, and we can already match registered owners to guns used in crime through ballistics. As to the other required features, the magazine safety disconnect and chamber load indicator add nothing noticeable to the overall safety of a firearm. If they did, PORAC would demand agencies issue their members firearms with those features. Most agencies issue officers the latest models of either Glock or Sig Sauer handguns, which lack magazine safety disconnects, because those are unsafe, guys. Chamber load indicators, and of course, microstamping. Now, as far as magazine disconnects, if you get into a fight, a physical fight, and your magazine pops out or pops loose, it gets your magazine release gets triggered, and you now have to go to your gun. A magazine disconnect just turned your gun into a hammer, and if you absolutely needed to get to that gun, it's worthless. Not having the magazine disconnect enables you at least to fire the round that's in the chamber. And sometimes that's all you need. Let's see. So it goes on and on. A lot of things that there's no principled reason why all law-abiding citizens in California, including off-duty and retired police officers, should not be able to buy at a gun store the same types of handguns that are commonly issued to approximately 77,000 peace officers while on duty in California. PORAC believes in the legitimacy of the entire Constitution, and that means the right of the people to bear arms under the Second Amendment. All right, I'm going to rant to any cops, any current California cops that may be watching this, including myself. While personally, I have always been the Second Amendment advocate, and professionally, always stood up for the Second Amendment. I didn't stand up enough, I guess, to the powers that be in PORAC, because PORAC does offer a thing called legal defense. And if you're a cop in California, you know it's just a matter of time before you get sued. And if you get sued and you don't have legal defense, which is like an insurance policy, kind of like the USCCA is, you're going to pay for your lawyer out of pocket. And personally, I didn't have the money to pay for a lawyer out of pocket if I got sued. So, I was a member of PORAC. I hated the fact that they voted Democrat and that they gave their money to the Democrats and they supported a lot of these lefty things. They never actively supported any of the gun legislation in California, but they never actively opposed it either. And now, for the first time, we are seeing them actively opposing some of the gun legislation in California. And honestly, I think they need to get bigger and more vocal about their displeasure over a lot of these California laws. Let's go back and see. Wow. Let's go back and see some of the comments here. Let's see. Garrett asks, what do I think of the chances of SB 1004 passing in Idaho? Garrett, I think there's a good chance that it'll pass if people like you and me write our elected officials and demand it. You heard there's a U.S. senator, one of the U.S. senators from Idaho. They're probably not used to getting a whole lot of letters or emails. I emailed him about joining Matt Gaetz thing on abolishing the ATF. Well, this Senator Jim Reich, he wrote me back, and I don't have the email. God, I should have planted that email somewhere. He wrote me back and he said, "Look, partly in support of you writing to me, I have now signed on to this not abolish the ATF, but taking SBRs, SB shotguns, short-barreled shotguns, and other weapons off the NFA. There's a bill that they're doing to do that. And hey, you know what? Partly because little old me wrote a letter. So if you don't think letters help our cause, you're sadly mistaken. Let's see. What else do we have? The worst thing people can do. The worst thing people can do is run because you can't hide. Kelly, I agree to a certain extent. Once you have an evil regime in place that don't care about the will of the people, the only thing you could do is have an armed insurrection, or you abide by their tyranny. And in California, honestly, in California, I did not know all the freedoms that I was missing. You get so, what is it? You get so wrapped up in what it is, you know, I mean, helmet laws for motorcycles, seatbelt laws for cars, straw laws for restaurants, just everything. It's just one after another. And you don't realize how bad it actually is until you get out and you see what real freedom is all about. Ask the people of Cuba, the people that fled the Castro regime in Cuba. there's nothing they could do from within. If you stood up, you were squashed. That's kind of what's starting to happen in California. They are frivolously going after people in California for all kinds of stuff. And I would have stayed. I would have stayed and fought if I thought there was a snowball's chance of changing the system in California, but there really isn't. Look at 218. I retired out of Texas and qualify in Minnesota every year. Yeah. Thomas, I totally get you. And I will this year qualify here in Idaho for my 218. But, you know, every 3-4 years, I got to go back to California and get a new ID for that 218. I also have, I don't have it here with me in Studio A, but I have an Idaho retired law enforcement CCW, which is essentially, it's an HR 218 card. The powers that be afraid of being shot. Wood chippers. Feet first. That'll work for disposing of these corrupt politicians. Amen. Amen. Let's see. Liberty Cave. Retired California Department of Corrections. Moved to Oregon and never did the dog and pony show California required. All ready for me to carry. I just carry and let the chips fall where they may. And that's, you know what? Everybody gets to make their own decision. Even in California. Criminals, it's easy because they're really not held accountable. And they really don't care. They carry anything they want. Mostly stolen stuff. But you and I, we got to play by the rules, kind of, sort of. I know, well, Oregon right now, that their Prop 119 is on hold for the moment. I think it's gonna fall by the wayside because there's really no way to start it. Hey, James. Hey, Bob, working on a new crossover ham radio pew pew product to release. I'm worried that it'll be banned in California. It's a Picatinny Bowfang mount. I'll release it on April 1st. James, I want to have you on the show, my friend, on April 1st to introduce your new pew pew ham radio. That is freaking awesome. That is awesome. Let's see. Callie Singh. Northern California cops, 100% male except receptionist, 100% corrupt. Millions of UN smart city dollars with Denver airport type murals going up all over town next to the underground city entrance and Masonic Hall. I don't know where that is. I can't even speak to it. I haven't been to California in a year. Maybe it's in San Francisco. I don't know. Probably somewhere in the Bay Area, if that. Callie also says they are the second highest funded homeless shelter to the tune of billions, but no money going to the sheriff department. Also collecting money to take Washington violent criminals, but no programs. They're arresting the homeless on the street corners and writing tickets to the homeless that can't pay, then throwing them in jail. Yeah. You know, the homeless create their own problems. You know, and I get it. Most of them, they're drug addicts. Most of them have severe mental disorders. But when they put garbage cans and dumpsters down the street or, 10 yards away, and people literally take a shit in front of their tent and leave it there. I have less and less sympathy and empathy for those kinds of people they're ruining the cities for everybody, not just themselves, not just the business owners, but the people that want to come into town and do business. As far as everything else, I don't know. I haven't been there in a couple of years. It wasn't like that when I was working and I was there. Let's see, man, we are really coming to the end. Guys, this has been fantastic. Nikki is only running. Nikki's only running because she doesn't have to pay back any of the fund raised during her campaign. It's a scam. Stupid law should be changed. Yeah, I don't get it. I heard that Ron DeSantis said he's not going to run for president, which to me is probably about the smartest thing he could do. He will solidify his base and the Trump base for next time. Let's see. Randy Leahy escaped 20 years ago. He fled to Central Oregon, had to flee Oregon to Utah 3 years ago. Where do I go next? Ohio. Randy, go to Ohio. Let's see. Yeah, Callie, I get it. At some point you stand up, but when you stand up and when you stand alone, you fall alone. And it doesn't seem like many people in California will stand together. And that's why California is sinking like it is. That's why conservatives, gun owners, and even just decent people are fleeing California. Businesses fleeing California because nobody will stand up for what's right. They won't stand up for their rights. They won't demand their rights. And how do you fight? Okay, guys, literally, if you want to stand and fight right now, how do you do it? And we're coming up on the end of the hour. So so leave that in the comments. You know what? One more thing. If you really want to see alternative media, and I forgot to mention this up at the top of the hour, don't watch the playback of this on YouTube. Watch the playback on Rumble. That is rumble.com/K6UDA. Do that. Watch it there. Support me on Rumble. Is this a family? Paul Mitchell wants to know, is this a family show? Well, I don't know if your family cares about the Second Amendment. Yeah, it's a family show. This is not the K6UDA radio show. This is a completely different show. Let's see. Kelly gained Republican seats. Kelly gained Republican seats, and apparent solution is a psyop. Yeah. Okay. Well, and I get, Kelly, you got some good points in there, but we're just out of time. Guys, again, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for joining me here on the 2 Alpha Ham Radio podcast. Didn't have time today for any ham radio stuff, but we'll definitely do it again real soon. Anyway, I'm Bob, and I will catch you guys later. Stay safe, stay armed, stay vigilant. Later, guys.